And that brings me to my very special guest, Zoe Naylor, who joins us live this morning. Good morning, Zoe.
Oh, can I just say, Troy, this is such a delight. Like, you are doing something really special here. Like, I am texting the team, just going, "Holy Toledo, this is amazing! Oh my, I am so impressed with you and your chutzpah to take your passion and do it. Like, this is better than most of the mainstream radio that I've professionally done."
I am recording this, and this is now you're basically forming my promo to funding grants.
But I mean, I am lost for words, and it is early, and I am drinking my coffee out of our birth time mug. But I'm absolutely so honoured to be here with you today. I'm moved already. You're a conscious man. I love it. Welcome.
Oh. I will. I'm not going to disagree, but thank you, thanks. What else would you like to ask me for today's interview?
I just want to check that my sound's all right. Can you just, because I've just invested in a microphone because trying to up level the tech at home a little bit.
It's great. It's all
right. The video's okay. Usually I can't do video and sound and make it all. Anyway, I've upgraded the things.
You've nailed it.
Is it okay?
You've absolutely Naylor's nailed it.
Thank you.
No,
good.
It's
I
great.
won't change my maiden name.
No, it's
to Jeffrey. No, just be stay Naylor. Yeah, there we
so
go.
so good. I mean, you caught some of the commentary off air. I watched it last night. I know that you're aware of some of the feedback because it would have been instant when the first time you showed the final product. But talk about what initiated the reason to start documenting what you documented. It's 4 years in the making. It's a long time. But what's the starting point? Where's the starting point 4 years ago?
The starting point was the birth of my second child. And the birth of my second child, I had him at home. He was 10 pounds posterior, and I had him in the water, you know. And that birth it changed me in such a deep way. And so maybe it was my journalistic training that was my contribution, being in the film business, but Jo had been really musing over wanting to make a documentary. She was my independent midwife and co-creator and co-producer alongside Jerusha Sutton of the film. And Jerusha was my birth photographer and doula. And those two obviously had been at the coalface of birth for such a long time. And I was, just a consumer. But that birth, and I just said to the girls, like, I just couldn't believe it. Like, the next day I could have done that again, even though it was, a commitment to pull that labour off. And I guess it was just the crystallizing of the magic, and Jerusha's beautiful cinematography and, editing foundation and Jo's contacts and all the, your connections in the birth world and her knowing. Yeah, we just followed our noses and bought all our own gear, and we watched YouTube tutorials. Like, I did sound and lighting, and of course in the first interview the sound didn't work, so we had to do it again. We had the basics, and Jerusha had also been in the arts industry for a long time, so we kind of knew, having been on many film sets, how the cameras are set up, and we just followed our noses and we asked the question, what would it take for all women to emerge from their births physically well and emotionally safe? And we now extend that to birthing people as well. So what would it take for all women and birthing people to emerge from their births physically well and emotionally safe? And 4.5 years of following our noses. And then eventually we gathered, over 100 interviews and, I can't tell you how many hundreds of hours of footage. And we started to hear the same things, whether we were interviewing consumers, partners, birthing people, mothers, experts, academics, researchers, midwives, obstetricians. So we knew we'd kind of gathered the melting pot, and we had to then make the soup.
Unsurprising or surprising was your experience meeting all these women, hearing their voices?
Well, for me it was. I was the layman, and I was, like you said this morning, at every interview, I'm bawling, like I'm having trouble holding my emotion because I'm just going, I mean, the others, they of course, but they had known it, like from their experience. But I was just so flabbergasted about how asleep I'd been around. And it makes me emotional because my first birth, I experienced birth trauma, and I knew that if in hindsight, I had have gone into that birth. You know, I'm an educated woman in the Western way of tertiary degrees and blah, 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 but not educated in the foundations of humanity in the way that I know is important to be a functioning human being. So in the last 10 years, I've really just dedicated my life to well-being and my own healing journey. And on that, birth has become a pivotal part because women don't even understand what they're missing out on and what they're giving away. We don't even know how disconnected we are from that rite of passage. It's just like blows your mind.
Wow. When you're speaking to women and women don't know, and you've spoken to so many people, so many women, and to the women that don't know what they've gone through or how to explain it, how do you evoke or draw out, go, no, you think you're okay, but you're not. But you've got to be sensitive, and what's unique to you that we need to draw out?
What's a travesty is that a lot of women don't even know that they've been denied their birth. They go, oh, healthy baby, oh, it was fine, they induced me, then I had, a whole lot of interventions and it was not great, but I've got a beautiful baby and I'm fine. There's this kind of constant buoying to make you talk yourself into being okay. But what's being denied is the depths of what it can be. And it's not about the outcome, because sometimes we can't control the outcome. But currently, for example, the World Health Organization says that 10 to 15% is a healthy cesarean rate. And in this country, even in the time we were making the doc, it went up by 2%. So it currently sits at 35%. Wow. And in some hospitals, it's up at 65, 70%. It's like ludicrous. So what's happening is there's a culture that's infecting and informing birthing people and women that they don't even know, one, they've got trauma, or two, have been denied their birth experience, and three, if you do know, each of us plays a different role in how we nurture that. We are very forthright in the back of the film to suggest places to go, but the beautiful Athena, who is a very dear friend of ours, she's a midwife, a researcher, and now a counsellor. And she's got a beautiful site called thebirthcouncil.com.au. Cool. And she's actually can pull your birth records, and you can go back and you can actually unpack what your experience was to make peace with that, because a lot of women are denied that. No one takes responsibility in birth, like we talk about it from the human rights and legal perspective, but there's a whole lot of unresolved trauma or experiences that need to be embodied. And it's never too late, by the way, to unpack your birth experience, because you can change it for your children and your children's children without infecting them with the subconscious pain that is held in your body. So that's if you've already had your children. But if you haven't and you're in your process, please, for me, that second birth healed not only 10 generations of trauma in my mother line, but it also healed me in ways I do regular therapy, but couldn't have done in any other way. So seek out Athena. She can see you anywhere in the world. Seek out some of the other resources. And if and just be proactive and in choosing continuity of midwifery care. If you're lucky enough to still be having your babies, please find continuity of midwifery care. And the trouble is, and the reason why we've made this documentary, because it's the other part of the answer to this very long-winded answer to your question, is that how do we really start to make changes? Well, we need to unify the conversation and the masses, and there's so much ignorance. And if you Google birth, you get a lot of misinformation or information that's really tarnished or driving people to a certain outcome. If we get everyone to see the documentary, we're kind of coming at a foundation place, and art has a great way to do that. We through art and film, we can really, like music, and can reach. That's probably why you do radio. You can actually reach the masses. So if we start to get everyone on board with understanding what it is that we're sharing, and for women to go, because at the end of the film, you go, of course I want my own midwife, but in this country, only 8% of women can access it, and only 0.03% of women choose and can access home birth. So that's a problem from a federal government level, and that is mirrored around the developed world.
Did it throw you back to start researching even pregnancy? Is there attachments? Is there things that are building in a girl that's growing up in this world that is getting told, hey, these are, hey, shush, we've got the right solution for you? Did it provoke that kind of thinking on far? This is not even about only pregnancy. This is, I was 8 and this stuff was, or something like that. Did you go into that world?
You're so good, Tora. Can I just say, this is the bloody great. If this is the last half hour of my life, I'm totally activated in this moment. And activated is the key word from the documentary. It's so on point.
Good.
So this is the next big phase because we do sex education in school and God forbid we tell them don't have sex, you're going to make a woman pregnant, right? Or if you use contraception because of HIV and STDs. But we never have reverence for what it is that men and women, people can come together to do. We make human beings. Holy Toledo, we grow them in our stomachs and we can birth them from our vaginas. Like, it is missing in the whole reverence for what it is to be a woman or a person who can grow a human. So Jane Hardwick Collins does incredible work around, shamanic midwifery, but essentially that's coming back to an innate power and knowingness as a woman. So, we cycle with the moon. We call it period, but actually it can be called moon time. And as I've learned this in the last decade and start to really, embody those rites of passage and those transitions and start to cycle more with Mother Nature and essentially become, people call it hippie, but it's actually just powerful. You will never, you get to know yourself far more than any external accolade, achievement or, degree. So absolutely it has to come earlier in schools. I believe that we will extend this study or piece of work either in its current form, not sure, or reiterated for high schools because we have to start that conversation earlier. And if young men saw this movie, it's not about, one of the hashtags we had was Me Too in birth, but it's actually, that's too late.
Yeah.
We need young men to have reverence for women and women to have reverence for themselves because if women are in that it's not about, I call it, at school, I was guided to be the prime minister, not the mother. It's not the Hillary Clinton pantsuit power. It's a different embodied feminine strength. It's kind of like a gentle power, but it's embodied. And if women held that space more rather than externalizing their power in either sexually or it's in internal work. And the only way that comes is through transitioning these rites of passage, of which birth is the second one. And it's the biggest one I've traversed to date. So 100% got to start earlier.
What's a question that a woman could ask themselves to self-check themselves if they were in the dangerous or they don't know, they're unknown? What's something that they could ask them? I want to start with the lady. What's a woman who's had a pregnancy, who's had a child, or maybe not hasn't. Who's gone through the birthing experience? And secondly, what's something that a fella can ask themselves?
Do you mean, just to contextualize, ask, what's a woman asks herself in order to see if they're
okay? See if they're experiencing any trauma.
Okay.
Because some women out there...
For me, so I had markers that, I call them the anomalies. So... I have a history of being a big time party girl, and that was my catalyst for embarking on a journey. I call it of awakening. We call it healing, recovery, whatever you want to call it. And so there were markers for me. So, what is everything in moderation is not, 8 bourbons, like there's a kind of marker around how you're choosing where you're choosing to numb, because trauma is embodied. There's a beautiful film called The Wisdom of Trauma, and if you haven't seen it, please go see it. And it really talks about having compassion for addiction or addiction tendencies really are byproducts of trauma. So trauma will rear its head, and it usually plays out in numbing because it's painful. And the pathway to healing trauma is to feel. And I say the only way to heal is to feel your pain. Now, I do that by doing regular therapy. I do breath work. I move my body. I try, I harness my arousal system, which is still there, but I just am more in tune and aware of it. So getting aware is the first step. So is that wine o'clock like the highlight of the day? Can you not wait to wake up and smash the coffee? Like, are you escaping yourself? Is it sex? Is it online shopping? Like, no judgment around what it is. They're just gifts. Jost Sawyer talks that they're gifts for like where you're needing to go deeper into yourself, and replacing those things with greater connection. And how you do that is to seek help, because it's not designed to be done on your own, nor is birth, right? That's why athletes don't win gold medals without a whole team of practitioners, nor should we achieve our alignment or amazing birth experiences on our own. Doesn't work. That's why NA and AA exists, and all these amazing other programs that can help you find your path to, homeostasis or well-being. So I think find the marker. Are you reaching for something that's taking you out of the present moment? And is that the place that you're hiding? And are you missing out on being able to be present with your children or your lover or your partner or life because there's a discomfort in that stillness of just being in the moment? And for me, the last 10 years have been a really a path to trying to find a space of more peace moment to moment. So and work can be an addiction. I know that's a place where I go getting busy. So look, whether you're male, female, or however you identify as a person, look for the marker for yourself. Be aware of where you're numbing.
To the fella, and let's not spend too much time on this because I want this to be about the women. What can men do to their partner, for their partner, around their partner? Perhaps they could ask the question, or
well, okay, let's just stop there, because I think trauma is held by both parties, cool. Male, female, or any person, the birthing person and the partner. So actually, don't focus on the partner, focus on yourself. Where is it that you're holding your trauma? And communication is the key. So again, I'd seek therapy, because you can't do it if both of you have had traversed birth and it's been bad or painful for both of you. You're both going to hold it in different perspectives, because what a partner experiences is different from the birthing person, right? So you really got to just get self-aware. And I can only speak from my experience, but I needed therapy to really bring that attunement into for myself. So I would, regardless of where you've sat in that, I think.
Yeah, and there was a moment on the documentary where the fella was, ushered off, or he was asking, why isn't anyone holding my hand? I got questions. I got questions here, like, well, who? And there was, so it was going twofold. I thought it was just epic that you spent some time in that documentary to do that. We've got some questions from the chat line. This is from Kylie. She's has there been any steps forward that you've seen over the time in hospitals incorporating the continuity of care model in a similar way to Westmead? I'm 34 weeks with my third baby, and I've noticed that the systems across 2 hospitals are the same standard model since my first.
Yes. Just before I answer that question, just in what you were saying before about the partners, that reiterates why it's so important to have a birth team. So get a doula and birth support people outside of, so you've got someone who can speak for the partner as well. Just that's a really good action step in that regard. Cool. Yeah, it's a really sad what's going on in the hospitals generally. There's very few progressive hospitals, and it's interesting we even call them progressive, just the ones getting more back in tune. This is why we've made the documentary, and you'll see it after you've streamed it, there's a whole lot of action steps that you can be part of. So Mamma Mia is a huge body, a database that essentially can get a face-to-face call or meeting with the Prime Minister, because they've got 1 million subscribers, right? So we need, in order to really make change at this bigger level, our totem for the movement is a cicada, because on our own it's hard for our voices to be heard, but together we're deafening. And we were gifted that when we filmed on sacred Aboriginal land with Mel Briggs down in Wreck Bay, down the south coast. We're filming her interview. It was dead quiet. At the end, people came who weren't meant to be on this land. And out of nowhere, this cacophony of cicadas rose up. It was amazing. So that's our totem. So how do we unify that voice? We all need to come together. I call it into the same tree. So then the tree is really, really big. It's like the biggest one, and it becomes a powerful voice in advocacy and policy change. And so that's right now what our intention is, so that we can directly lobby Canberra, because otherwise it's all part of the noise. There's so much noise and people don't listen. There's more people lobbying here. But if we're one strong tree full of cicadas who are deafening, watch out.
You are reading have you seen my questions, have you?
No.
Well, stop it. My next one was about birthing trees, and you're bringing.
This is just on tune, on song today. This is in the flow.
With cicadas, just humming over the airwaves.
It's good, isn't it?
I love that. I'm using that.
Yeah, get a tattoo. We're all going to get tattoos. We're actually getting a line artist to. I'm not joking. I'm going to get mine here. So when I hold a microphone, it's here, right? So yes, I think it's going to become a thing that like the knowing. It's like when you wear the birth time t-shirt or merchandise, people just go, "Oh, you're part of that." It's like the cicada's going to become like the anthem.
Have you got the tat? Have you got the tat? You got the t-shirt, but have you got the tat?
Yeah. Have you got the tat?
Okay.
That's
Wow.
it.
Something
Go to
cool.
festivals and everyone's going to be like, woo.
That's good. I prefer that than the Chinese writing that they got in Bali or something.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly. Birthing trees. I love that part. I'm a First Nations person, and we highlight a lot of First Nations voices on this show. What did you experience, and what could you learn? What could the maternity system that we need to break down learn from Indigenous experiences and Indigenous history around birthing trees?
Can I just want to just take us a moment to just have reverence on the land on which we gather, wherever you are today, and that this is colonized land and it's absolutely been taken. And I just want to say I'm sorry on behalf of my ancestors to begin with. We have everything to learn from First Nations people. Every Aboriginal person I have ever met holds a sanctity of wisdom that is just beyond what Western people can know. And it's just bloody time that we sat down in reverence and listened. And I don't mean listen, it's listen. Because what I've witnessed spending time with Mel Briggs, Charisse, who we interviewed in the film, and all the beautiful Aboriginal women who I met, Shondell, down in South Coast, even going on land, on country in Alice Springs and in the Northern Territory, you know. There's a great story, actually. We were filming in the middle of the Northern Territory. There's a group of Aboriginal women. They were sitting around and they were trying to poke the little seeds that, you know, you heat it in the fire and you poke the seed to make a necklace or a piece of jewelry. And they were sitting around, and look, it was maddening to watch because they put the thing in the fire, and then it mist, and they're laughing and having the best time in the nothingness, right? And I'm not joking. I don't even think they made a necklace in all day. But actually, that's it. Because you put any Western person, there's no way they could sit in that much joy, presence, and play. So I am sorry, but we have everything to learn from First Nations people. And to know that, I'm just sorry. It moves me because I just can't, just no words for what's happened in this country. Yeah, and if we look at the beautiful work that's happening in Birthing on Country and what Mel's doing now down in Binjalani, like, that is the way. We will learn everything from those women, like, and Aboriginal women birthing, like, there's no words, sorry.
Tell us some of the highlights and the brilliant, beautiful experiences that are happening around home births. It's a beautiful thing. I will admit, it was the first time I've ever seen a baby being pushed out of your wonderful bodies in the live, and it's the opening scene. I was like, my wife has been asking me to watch this documentary for the last 3 months, and I'm like, I don't want to just get involved in a little birthy doco. You're on. I had to watch it. And the first scene, I'm like holding onto the side of the couch, and she's just staring at me going, yeah, she started.
Do you know what's crazy is we're so comfortable with watching violence in movies, abuse in movies. We're so comfortable, yet we're so uncomfortable watching amazing normal physiological childbirth, which is the most, that's so interesting. So we're trying to normalize birth, and it should be normalized because the culture of fear infects and affects everything, including the way women are choosing to birth, including then their experience of motherhood, because the research shows how you experience birth actually informs how you experience motherhood. And I know that because I had postnatal depression after Sophia, and I didn't with Bo, and I know the birth had a big part to play in that, right? But home birth it's actually not about, it's so much more than the word. Home birth is not just the place, it's actually the experience. Yep. You know, you are held, and this is the biggest, look, the rites of passage are when you get your moon time as a maiden, birth, and you become the mother, and then when you transition menopause, which is a very powerful transition when you start to cycle with Mother Earth, right? To me, this is the biggest rite of passage. Well, it's the biggest one I've known, like I said earlier. So we don't set ourselves up to traverse that with any reverence. in First Nations cultures around the globe, it is so revered. So what home birth allows to the Western person is actually start to have an embodied held experience. So a woman, a midwife, and a doula ideally are with you through your entire pregnancy as you traverse all your fears, and it's appropriate to vent and blah, 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 like get it out when you go into labor so that you will face yourself in labor. You absolutely do. That's the intention of the rite of passage. So when you clock someone, and it happened in both my births, and you go, I can't do it, give me the epidural, give me the drugs, I can't do it. And someone else who you know knows you and has known birth says, yes, you can. You go, okay. So you walk over the cold face of the fires with support and love and holding. That is what it's designed for. And then afterwards, because the birthing of the baby is the birthing of the mother. That's just the beginning. And then you have this little thing and you go, oh my God, breastfeeding, and like, how do I, and what do I, and blah, you know, and then that woman or midwife and doula are there with you 6 weeks afterwards as you birth your boat into the world. Like, it's crazy that it's not held. It's the biggest job you'll ever do. And no wonder women are fighting to go back to work so quickly. And no wonder postnatal depression is an epidemic and suicide is the leading cause of maternal death in the developed world. Like, we absolutely aren't having reverence for the greatest career in the world is the career of the mother. Or the biggest career, the biggest job, because the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Amen. And what would happen to wars and addiction and everything if we started to heal birth? I think it would fundamentally change the society we live in.
I loved one of the points that the fella you had in there, and there was two comments that really stood out on the doco. The man's missing out, and that changed. That's what he's like. We're not the ones that are far out. Thank goodness we miss out on pregnancy. We're actually missing out. We're missing out. That was huge.
Yeah, it's beautiful what he said, because he has reverence for... Aaron actually said this to me when we toured New Zealand with the film, because he was in the film, obviously, and he'd been at the births, but he goes, wow, the patriarchy and misogyny, it's really a thing, isn't it? And it's a word that gets bandied around like feminism, but until you really start to see it in birth, for example, you really don't understand what's happening in relation to that. And we explore this in the film. So when Dylan, the beautiful Dylan, says that, it's such a reverence, and that makes me cry. Like, we're men, and they're conscious men, but they really respect and understand how women have been repressed energetically. Is just so meaningful right now. And that's why men and women partners have to see this film. And it was interesting at the beginning, you said it's heavy. Like, I think the film leaves people with a lot of joy and hope. There's a lot of laughter in the movie, you know, you do. Like, it's not a bash over the head. Our first edit of the film was a bash over the head. It was like a 3-hour, like, oh, shoot me now. But now I think it's an 84-minute roller coaster where you go, wow, that was a really soul reminder. That was a soul reminder of who we are, why we're here, and what humanity's all about. So, you know, I think it's a film that is actually a reminder of who we are, on a deep level.
The second comment that I thought was really crazy and just another throwaway, but it hit me, was like the woman, where I can't remember who it was by name, but she said after she had her child, she said, far out, I'm not pregnant anymore. I thought that was so...
You, me.
Like, no, that is a comment about far out. This has been going on for a long time, and now this is while she got the baby in her hand. She's like, far, I'm not pregnant anymore. It's just amazing where the woman's head is going, and the guy's head ain't going anywhere of stuff like that. We're like, what's in front of me? What do you need? Water bottle, cool, I'm off. And we're not thinking about what maybe I should you know, all the complexities and side.
Well, it's
crazy.
You know, there's a reason why women were given. Look.
Aaron's
just had his knee replaced, right? He's on week 8, and I get that's a really painful recovery. But when he's like, I can't sleep, I haven't had a sleepless night, and I can't stretch it anymore, it's hurting. I'm like, I just look at him, and I go, this is why women birth the babies, because the threshold for pain.
You should say, oh, that's okay, Aaron. Can you just put the washing out? I'll just it's all good. We'll have a chat after you just put the washing out or something. Add something onto it.
Women are incredible. People who birth are incredible. Like Yumi, she's you know, she painted that beautiful piece you can see behind me, which is the poster from our film. The latest iteration actually has our laurels that we've won, you know, about 22, I think today, international awards, which is very meaningful too. But yeah, she's such a sensibility for articulating just the what's happening, because she's so mindful moment to moment of her experience, and her that articulation in the movie is you forget, you go, oh yeah,
Yeah, that
I
would
just grew a human in my body. And we think aliens are in outer space. Like, come on, guys.
And I want to say, when I said it was heavy and it was the first time I've ever seen it, I did predict that it was going to be a bit gross, and my head turned away a little bit in the first one. And then after all the way through, every time I was hanging, I was cheering on, going, go get that thing out of you, go! And out it came, and it was like it did a little dolphin dive, and the baby's in their hands, and I cried every single one of them. It was the chapters of the movie, and I'm so glad that they were stretched out, because I think I would have been bawling my head off if they were closer together. We've got
Are you going to have a baby?
I want to. We're trying. We'd love to. If God blesses us one, yes, I would love to.
You'll make a beautiful dad.
I
just
so.
want you and your beautiful wife, I haven't met her, to have that, because now that I just know you'll know that.
Yeah, I'm hanging. I'm an only child too, so I'm just hanging I'm hanging for the pack. I want the pack.
Yeah,
I don't know what the pack's about.
Too. Aaron doesn't want any more. I really would like a pack too. Just saying.
Just a little pack.
Like 52, and it's like, I'm done. I'm like, I'm not.
I want to read some comments here that have come through. And if you want to chase this up further with perhaps Zoe or even the team at Birth Time, what's a good way to get a hold of you? Or have you got a bit of a helpline or something like that to talk to?
Yeah, so birthtime.world is the website for Birth Time, and support@birthtime.world you can email, and it will get siphoned to us as relevant. You can also watch the film and then join our hub, subscription hub, which is a monthly thing or an annual thing. We're in there. I'm Kaftan Mama on social media. You can send me a message if you want to ask me something, on either Facebook or Instagram. Yeah.
There's some comments here that were flying through, which is we don't usually get this many comments. This is great. But there's some women out there and dads, and they're all interested and have their own experiences. Alex, who is actually, it's her son's birthday. It's absolutely great. What did she say? Listening to this interview with my water baby son on his 12th birthday, sharing birth stories with boys and stories of women is beautiful. Thanks, Alex. Praying for you. Yeah, that's fair. Would Zoe have any insight into how to support our friend who is about to become a mum through a surrogacy pregnancy? You can we'll spend a minute on this if you don't mind. It's been a difficult and traumatic journey over the 15 years to accept that she won't birth her own child. What connecting and healing experiences might help her? Deep fizz deep.
I obviously can't speak because I've not experienced it, but I have been in therapy a long time, and I'm studying my Master of Art Therapy to become a qualified practitioner, therapist and art therapist. And what I've learned on that journey is to meet people. The only way you're going to really, we all want to change other people around us, but you just have to really respect and hear where that person is at, and find a place to love them genuinely for what they're saying, and support them in their choice, because it's our arousal that happens in response to someone who's not meeting our expectation of them. That's the problem. And that's your work to do. It's not about changing anyone outside you, but to find peace within yourself. And that's obviously triggering something big in you. It could be from past life, this life, your, value system. And that's the key, because all we can do is focus on our own growth. And quantum physics will say the outside world will change to reflect the work you do inside anyway.
Oh, yes. If you want to ask any more questions, do head over to Birth Time. The documentary is now available on the Birth Time website. It's birthtime.world. With a www at the start, but come on, we don't need to talk about wwws. Put the link.
It's hard to say anyway, isn't
it? So good to have you, Zoe. There's some more. I'm going to read one or two more.
I love it. I'm having a great time.
Oh, cool. Michelle says, I've witnessed a birth from the other side. It was the best feeling. I walked out with a big grin on my face. It was like giving birth without pain. It was truly amazing. Yes to normalizing birth. My lovely wife. I love the doco. It really helped me to realise I have my own birth trauma and helped me to see what I want for my next birth. She said, if we do get pregnant, we are doing it in the local pool. Yes, more power to the midwives, more control in supporting women with what they want. Hey, Zoe, super impressive. Thanks for the encouragement from yourself, but really encouraged about this documentary. I can't wait for just more people to watch it, which if I've got anything to do with it, I'm going to continue plugging it on
You should
the
get
show.
a T-shirt. So you can wear it on your show. They're unisex. They're on our website. They're all,
cool.
Sustainably sourced and ethically made, and it says birth. It's one woman, one midwife on the back, and birth time on the front. Aaron wears it. They're awesome.
I think it's really powerful if some fellas wear it. Go, what?
100%. You can't get the hats anymore. I know they're limited edition. I only did that because I haven't washed my hair, and it's just a cheater's way. That's why you always wear caps.
I wear caps every morning.
And my daughter went, Mum, you don't look great this morning. Just come on quick. Switch up when you do Zooms at the same time. You can't. I remember once going, just quickly to American Rosso when I was hosting Gladiators, and it was a big, like the Kyle and Jackie O show at the time. And I just was like, oh, fantastic. It's radio. I can wear my trackies and a t-shirt. And I walked in and they looked me up and down and they were like, so disappointed.
Oh, who said that?
I was like, patriarchy suck. Anyway, I think at the time I probably just went out and had a big night, but now I would much rather be on your show.
Oh, good. Well,
mine's so great. I'm so impressed. Anyway,
we love it. Just listen in every morning if you want with your family.
I'm gonna it's all your tech and all yours. I'm like, how Selena and I we're have built most of the site and everything, and she's just there going, oh, look at that, it's amazing. How's he done that? How's he embedded that? That's so clever. You know why? Because we get to have real, more in-depth, connected conversations. Yes. It's not driven by the advertising dollar and the churn and burn tip-bick of fancy, tech. It's like this is the real deal. I'm so grateful. Highlight of my week.
Can you give me on-air permission to use any of your voices
for
what you just talked about?
Full permission. You need to be,
cool. This
needs to be like our film mainstream for you, on your terms.
That's
Troy Benjamin.
It's on our terms. Zoe Naylor.
Really good radio.
Nah, thanks heaps. We'll let you keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to play some lovely India RE on the way out.
Perfect.
Yeah, nice one. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you guys. Thanks for listening.
So much
Lots
for
of
your
love.
time. See you, Zoe.
Bye.